welcome back to a new episode of International Corner. I'm here joined once again by a person who I speak to only on this show. We used to speak a lot before. During games, he used to text me so much. Like my partner was getting jealous. Who's texting you during a game? Watch a bloody game. It's Richard Hall.
I still message.
No, not during the games anymore. You don't do that anymore. What's happened?
Oh, I'm so nervous sometimes. No, I've tried to actually watch the games because I don't know about you, but when sometimes you're watching the games and you're on social media and you're messaging and I don't know, maybe
I
you
know the
miss stuff.
feeling because I used to miss goals because it was texting you like, this is excellent, and then no.
You've asked for it now. You've asked for it. Wait till that game against Lazio. You won't be off your phone. I promise.
Yeah. No, jokes aside, I think that maybe last season there've been, there was especially towards the end when we were neck and neck with Napoli, of course, and then the Champions League. It was all very, very nerve-wracking, and I understand that you had a couple of heart attacks in the middle of probably the last three fixtures. This season, instead, we are with a new coach. We are still figuring things out. Every game, there's something new. Don't you agree with me?
Yeah, I think there is. And I think that's what's quite exciting about it because we are seeing a lot of the good from the team from last season, but we're seeing Kivu slowly putting in what he wants to put in place. And I think that we spoke about it last time, that the passion, for instance, on the touchline really is coming through to the players. I think that's really... it's been brilliant in that way. The goals are just going in left, right, and centre, which is fantastic. And they're finding a bit of grit, which we've seen over the last couple of games as well. And that fight, I think, will do us really well later on in the season when it does come to crunch time, because I'm sure we'll be there again near the end of the season.
Yeah, it's crunch time kind of now, if you think about it, because we have the last league game before the international break. Then will we pick things up with the derby, the city derby, and so this game here can sort of define how the players will get to that international break and then come back and look at the table and see, oh, okay, are we neck and neck with AC Milan? What's going on? And even tonight we'll find out what the situation will be like, because our city rivals will be playing tonight against Parma, so that tells you a little bit. But as Kivu says, it's too early and we don't really look at the table. We think about our own stuff, our own football. That's what matters the most. And we got a game against Lazio, and we come from an intense period of games. Of course, we played midweek against Kairat Almaty, played against Verona during the weekend. It's one after the other one, but Kivu says, take one game at a time and things will come as they should. You have to focus on what you're doing right now and not think too far ahead in time, or you lose purpose, you lose track of what you're supposed to do. I want to talk about the game against Hellas Verona. I've seen something that I was like, I had to watch it a couple of times. Like, how did that come about? I'm talking about the goal from Piotr Zielinski.
It was absolutely mind-blowing at the time. I mean, it's a wet day at the Bentagodi, it's going to always be a bit of a tough one. And, it was a spectacular goal. I mean, that is one of those ones where they must have practiced that on the training ground time and time and time again. And I still don't believe that he would have
I don't know if it was time and time again, because I think, as Piotr says, that's something that came just the day before when they practiced it in the training session, because one of the technical staff said that he watches the games and he picks things up. So probably something that came about from that rather than something that was prepared for any opponent. So the difference, I think, probably with previous situations is that they studied the opponent and come about with new solutions.
It's even more impressive in that case, because if you think about it, if they've only had limited times, you mentioned before, obviously, these back-to-back games that we're very much used to now with the Champions League, etc. But, look, if that's just been practiced a few times, it just shows the quality of Hakan. But that finish was also just incredible. I watched it like most Inter fans time and time again. Yeah. And like the question everyone you see on social media is asking is, what's better, the finish or the pass? But it doesn't matter. They're both absolutely brilliantly impressive. And that is an absolute arrow of a pass by Hakan.
Yeah.
And the fact that he side foots that into the net like that is, I think we'll be pressed to find a better goal this season from Inter.
And Zelinski hadn't been on the score sheet for a long time, hasn't he? Because last time he scored was back at Juventus. His first goals, the brace against Juventus last season at San Siro. I was there, I remember. So that's good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think he's brings a wealth of experience and quality to this squad. And when you wanted to go deep into the competitions, a player like that is invaluable. We are at a stage with this squad where we're looking to win now. As much as we're looking what Kiwi's doing and we're looking to build to the future as well. We've seen some younger players come through. Realistically, this team is built to win this season. Players like him getting in amongst the goals will be fantastic because it gives him confidence, it gives the team confidence, and it just gives us more and more options.
Exactly, and Çalhanoğlu as well with that pass, I don't know how you want to call it, because it looks like an easy pass, but it's not. He's back. Yeah, he's back. He's in perfect shape, because, there were rumors after the club workout that he probably had his mind on something else and he wasn't at the top of his shape, but I have never lost really trust in him. He's one that also, when he is in shape, he's lethal, and we've seen that on multiple occasions this season. So the game against Verona gave us 3 important points, away as well. Now we obviously had match day 4 of the league phase of the Champions League. One important game because although it's against Champions League, let's say newcomers, that you want to call them, flying from all the way from Kazakhstan, I think 8 hours, an 8-hour flight. I've been there to Almaty, by the way. It takes a long time to fly over here. So you cannot underestimate anyone, especially in the Champions League, because for them coming here at San Siro was a dream come true. Whether you play well or you don't play as you wish, playing at San Siro in front of a full stadium with that atmosphere just makes it worth, and obviously gives you some extra motivation. And what do you make of that game? Because I've got a few questions.
Yeah, I mean, when I was obviously for this and also the podcast that I do for Inter, I was doing a bit of research on them. And the more I researched them, you realize that it's very easy to dismiss teams that you would have done, for instance, in the early 90s in the European Cup or the 80s. But these teams deserve to be there on merit, and they're very well organized. That every team's going to raise themselves when they come to San Siro. That's every team, no matter what. I mean, because it's like you say, a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for them in a sense. The more research this, you find out not only have they got one good goalkeeper, they've got 2 good goalkeepers who performed against Celtic and Real Madrid in outstanding fashion. Both can save penalties, so they've got a young squad. They've got this magician of a 17-year-old up front, whose name escapes me. And all of a sudden, when they're looking disciplined, they're looking well coached, and they're everyone's an athlete these days when you come up against them. So. Yeah, you can't underestimate anyone. I think they did themselves proud at San Siro, but obviously we had too much quality in the end.
We did, and we missed a few chances as well. I think that's probably why things didn't turn our way from the start. And they were very aggressive as well, so they didn't leave us much space to find a solution earlier on in the game. I want to talk about Carlos Augusto, because Carlos, of course, we've seen him excellent in this game on multiple, let's say, roles, because obviously he was on the score sheet, first goal, Champions League goal for Carlos, for the Brazilian. And normally he plays on the flank, as you would say, correct? Esterno,
Correct.
Yeah? But this time around he was one of the 3 at the back. So obviously doing the braccetto thing that we discussed in depth already. So he's very versatile, and he spoke about it in the press conference as well ahead of the game. He said, I'm okay wherever Coach Kiwi wants me. I'm happy to just help the team. And he also mentioned the fact that, of course, he would have because he's not. Being selected to play for Brazil by Carlo Ancelotti. He was back in August, and now he hasn't. But one of his dreams, of course, is to play in the World Cup. So, of course, he wants to shine. And you can see that for his team, but also for his other goals that he has in his career.
I think he's got a good chance of it because his versatility, as you just mentioned there, gives Ancelotti options. We've seen him, like you say, play in the left. The fact that he can drop in, we've talked about as well, and up into midfield, he really is a bit of a workhorse as well. He's very, not only is he technical, but he's I think aggressive games sometimes suit him as well. But if we remember, I know we'll talk about Lazio later, but I think it was against Lazio with that divine little chip that he scored last season over the goalkeeper. He can certainly finish as well. So if you've got such a versatile player that, again, as we saw in the Champions League recently, can pop up with a goal like that, it was a superb arrowed finish. It was fantastic. He's obviously going to be full of confidence, and I think that the more game time he gets with us, then the more chance he has of going to that World Cup.
Something fascinating about Carlos, I realized only when I saw him up close, you wouldn't think that Carlos is tall, would you? For the way he moves on the pitch. He's got that Brazilian sort of, mojo in his legs that, I don't know, it doesn't strike as a tall person. Well, he's really, really tall. He's like 190, 1 meter 90. I don't know what's that in 6 foot, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, not 100% sure.
I can't remember the conversion now. Apologies.
No, quickly on the phone. No,
it's tall. No, it's taller than you.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're saying it's like that samba movement, isn't it? It's that rhythmic movement, really. I think, and we always associate the tall players. I mean, there's a saying in England, isn't there? He's got a great touch for a big man, and it's a silly. Yeah, seriously, it's easy, but it's basically saying that any player who's tall cannot actually play with the ball on his feet, and it's wrong. We've seen so many of them, but I think especially with that sort of rhythmic sort of way to his game, he's very technical.
Yeah.
And so we associate players to move the ball around that with low center of gravity, but no, he's fantastic, and I think that he's going to be, again, as we've spoke before, an asset to the team because our strength and depth is for me fantastic.
Also on the score sheet on the night, Lautaro Martinez, our captain, with 25 goals. He has drawn level with Hernan Crespo as the joint third high-scoring Argentinian in the UEFA Champions League, behind only Messi and Sergio Aguero. Our captain as well, so hungry to score. You can see that he was rather. So if you look at the images as soon as the final whistle went off. You could tell he wasn't happy, even if he scored the goal, won the game. He's the guy who's always hungry for more, for the perfect performance. On the night, he was probably expecting a 6-0 win, and we cannot deny that. What do you make of that?
No, completely. A reference on the television in the UK, one of the commentators made a point saying it's a future coach in the waiting here with Lautaro because of him being quite animated on the sidelines, and he does expect, and I think that there's nothing wrong with that. Like you say, I think we did miss a few chances. Again, I'm going to give credit to the goalkeeper as well, but it was really, you can tell he's got the fight and the hunger in him this season. Not just him. We can see DeMarco there, Barella, there's all of them. But Lautaro really does seem to have the bit between his teeth at the moment. And going back, that statistic of Argentinians scoring in the Champions League, where he is at his age, is absolutely fantastic. And we shouldn't, underplay that because it's an amazing achievement and there's a lot more to come from him as well.
Correct. And there's another statistic about that came up after the game against Kairat Almaty. Obviously, Inter won all 4 games in the Champions League, the first 4 games for the first time in their history, which is quite impressive. Of course, the media said, but you had now the easy sort of sides. Now the hard time is about to come. But like I said, there's no easy game because if you underestimate an opponent or you side, the B team, as you would, that's not the case, then of course things are not going to turn out the way you'd want. Or if you put too much pressure on yourself on important games or bigger teams such Atletico, Liverpool, and so on, all the ones that you're about to face in the coming weeks, of course, things are not going to turn out the same way or the way you want it. So it's hard to say, but of course, the job has been done. I mean, you've seen some upsets now in the Champions League, with big teams failing to get the result they've hoped or struggling to do so. So, I mean, For me, having the statistics, 4 wins out of 4, the first 4 games, wasn't something to take for granted, I don't think.
Not at all. I think you can look. I know it's an old saying, but you can only play what's put in front of you. You know, we don't dictate the fixture list, and all those games will come. I think that with Inter, we've always known that against the bigger teams, that's not a problem because we do have players with big game mentalities in that sense. And sometimes you can come unstuck when you do go to have teams, you know, as we played against, or for instance, look at Barcelona and Club Brugge. You know, that's a 3-3 draw, which realistically Club Brugge should have won that game. And, you know, you can't underestimate anyone because, as I said, every single team at this level now is professional athletes who are well drilled and are hard to break down. And that's when you look to your players for sometimes moments of magic, because in their own respective leagues, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Inter are used to having a lot of the ball and have to break these teams down a lot of the time. So it's no different in the Champions League when people come to defend against us. So it's still a difficult task whichever way you look at it.
And Christian Chivu, just to go back on Lautaro, in the press conference ahead of the game, he mentioned the fact that Lautaro is always, trying to get the best out of the team, get out of himself. He wants a perfect performance all the time. And sometimes this can get in the way of having, approaching the game with a little more serenity, So Chivu said that something he's been trying to say to him is to smile more. I don't know if you've got the clip.
Io ho fatto un gesto, come l'ho fatto a molti altri. Sorridere. Felicità, passione.
But that's what he said. There's nothing else to say to him besides smile more, take it, more lighthearted with your personality and things will come to you. And I think that's something that happens quite a lot among the team when there's a lot of happiness, a lot of people, a lot of players that impersonate happiness. And Barella is one of them, for example. And we see Marcus as well coming back on the pitch with a lot of that kind of vibes that he brings to the team. What do you think of that sort of charisma that Chivu brings with just simple things like that? As I say, smile.
It's really important because when we go back to it, the reason anyone started to play football, all of these guys is to enjoy the game. And that's what we all want to see. And we want to see them enjoying it because when they relax and they do so, then they're probably at their best. But it's very difficult to mix that into being like a seasoned professional who's also trained to win with that elite mentality. So it is a very difficult thing. But I completely understand Chivu's point of view because we want to see players playing with a smile on their face because, then they will maybe try something different. But it's all about confidence, really. If they are confident and they're confident in their own abilities and they can start to play, they get into that rhythm. It's all about team unity, but that comes from the coach. And if he can instill that, not just in the mind of Lautaro, but the whole team, then we will see a much more fluid and exciting Inter than we already are. But again, that is a very tough task as a coach because, like I said before, you need to mix that with the absolute humongous expectation of you have to win first. So it's a difficult one, but I'm sure he can instill that in them. And, there are many players that do it naturally. Going back to an English player, for instance, Paul Gascoigne used to play with a big smile on his face all the time. But,
for other reasons.
For other reasons. No, true. But but bad example. But you know what I'm trying to say. There are many players you see and
no.
they just seem to enjoy it. And that's what they've got to do. So I respect him for doing so.
Listen, I was trying to figure out, about this Inter, what I'd like to see improved. It's difficult to pinpoint single factor, single aspect that you think, oh, this is not working out, this is not working out. Maybe you mentioned now, you said the word fluidity. And I think that's something that maybe with so many rotations, because Chivu has everybody playing basically, maybe that's something that is sort of not as strong as it was in the previous season where, do you remember, we used to talk about certain dynamics, sort of mechanism that looked automatic. They looked like flawless. That's something that I don't even have to look who's there. I know I just pass it and I don't know, Di Marco is there and then Marco flicks it back or whatever. What do you think about this aspect?
I think that will come. I think there was obviously some players who are being integrated into the squad, someone who's done fantastically well. Is Esposito, the way he's playing, he's been absolutely brilliant. You can see that that's coming with him. He's the more game time he gets, the more he's linking up, and you can see. I think that Bonnie's done it really well straight off the bat, for want of a better word. So yeah, it's coming, and I think it will get through the season. It happened last time, but if you remember, there was obviously a lot of rotation at the beginning of last season, and it was a bit clunky at the start. 1-0, 0-0, 1-0. And it picks up throughout. So realistically, I think it's just a matter of time. And these players, it's just a changing dynamic as well with Kivu and what he wants. So there is going to be a couple of things that it won't just be easy to it just as it would be to integrate a couple of players with the same coach. Now it's a bit more okay. We've got some younger players coming through. We've got a bit of a few players that have come in from the market. We need to integrate it with this system. But I mean, at the moment, it's like you say, it's a results game, and that's the most important thing. But the fluidity will come, I'm sure.
Speaking about the last games of last season, one of them was actually the game against Lazio. You remember, it was an extremely long season. We were going neck and neck against Napoli. It was the second to last game to the last game of last season.
Yes.
Okay, so it was a 2-2 draw, and of course that kind of made things go in another way, the way we did not want. But you can't blame it on that game. It's a series of things that brought to those points in the table. It's not just one single game. Of course, we had an extremely long season last year with the Champions League going all through the stages, and also, of course, things go the way they go. But on the score sheet on that night, there was our Jan Bissek, who is shining, I think. You've seen him now playing a little bit more. I see him doing a bit of dribbling as well. Did you see that?
Yeah, he's looking like one of the old school liberos sometimes when he comes out from the back and starts going forward, and obviously always in danger on set pieces as well. But he's really matured for me, just in his decision making. And what I like about it as well is the confidence. It's not just him; it's the confidence the players around him now have. No one's filling in for him. No one's trying to help him as much. He's in command of what he does now, and he's really, really coming to the fore now.
On the score sheet on that day as well, Denzel with a header. And Denzel, of course, do you know that Denzel Dumfries hasn't scored as much as against Lazio in the league? He scored 3 goals against Lazio. He hasn't scored more goals against any other team. So probably, who knows what can happen?
Yeah, fingers crossed. I mean, we talk about the games against Lazio, obviously the one that was, I know we're at home this time, but the away game was 6-0, wasn't it? And so... I mean, I'd take that result right now, to be fair. But the games against Lazio are always, I always find that they're always either really, really good for us in the sense of it's always exciting, whether we put quite a few past them or they are just, worrying ones. As I said, you will certainly probably be getting a text or two this time because, it's always an interesting rivalry with
before that 6-0 win away, at home, we also won 2-0 in the League Cup for quarterfinals.
Yes.
And I remember he's no longer playing at Inter. We went off playing for Red Star, Marko Arnautovic. And on the score sheet on the night, they were the couple, Çalhanoğlu and Marko Arnautovic, because they were two very good friends. So a lot of positivity going into this game because Inter has not lost in 5 games against Lazio overall, and Inter has not lost in 6 home games against Lazio. Is undefeated, so 4 wins and 2 draws, which is a very good record if you think about a team coming to trying to get points at San Siro, and you get there with a head full of thoughts. That's good. That's really good. Yep. There is one game that brings up some very good memories, Richard. What game is that?
About with Lazio?
Yeah, with Lazio.
Me personally?
Back a few years ago when we had one of our heroes, or one of our, how can I say, he impersonates the soul of Inter, if you like.
So we're talking about Zanetti here.
We're talking about Zanetti, who played
of course. Sorry.
You suggested it and then you forgot.
No, because I thought you were talking about a game for me personally.
What were you?
No, he's like Javier's last ever game, of course. It's one of the most emotional games probably for any Inter fan of a certain age. I mean, obviously this was more than a game. You know, it was a send off where, you know, for everything that man is not had done for the club, and he's still doing, of course.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible, and I think the atmosphere and the fans there. I mean, I don't know how, you know, he kept that together, and the emotion of the other players is as much as anything else, because, you know, they realize just you know, what his values, the way it's not even about the football, even though of course it's about the football with him, but it's more about the values of Inter and what it underpins, and how to act as a player, how to carry yourself, and what the club's about. And it was a huge event, really, and a really good send off for him.
It was a really good send off, and that was back in 2014. Am I correct?
Yes. Yeah, and it seems, God, it doesn't seem that long ago, does it? It seems, it's so strange when you look back, and you know, he was to play to the age that he did. I mean, you know, the tractor, as they call him, it was unbelievable. I mean, he could still, I probably could play now. The fitness levels.
Yes, it could, but I think he exercises every day. But let's not forget, he's got 858 appearances for Inter, 21 goals, 16 trophies won, including the treble with the Champions League as well. And of course, now he's our vice president. So you see him now and then in the corridors, and you don't think that's him. You know, it's just.
And of course, just to seamlessly link it, of course, in Paris, he scored that amazing goal in the final against Lazio as well. So, I mean, just that was incredible as well. I mean, like you say, that many appearances for anyone. I think you embody Italian football. I mean, it's not just embodying Inter, is it? It's Italian football. You look at certain players throughout the years, and when people look back over the Serie A as a whole, and you put the greats up there, he's right up there.
I agree with you. It's part of history of football in general. Now, today, let's go back to today. Lazio today have got a few players in the infirmary. They're under the guidance of Maurizio Sarri, who has gone back their training at Lazio since in February the last campaign, so February 2025. The start of their campaign hasn't been that brilliant, but now they have collected a series of good results, positive results. After 3 defeats, at the start of the campaign, they won a game against Cagliari, drew against Pisa, and then with Juventus as well. They beat Juventus, which is something that you cannot take for granted for sure. What do you think? So if you were Kiev when you had to prepare for this game, I know it's not easy to ask you this question, but
no.
What are the threats? What are the threats of this game?
No, I mean, like you say, you know, Castellanos, Rivella, Cancellieri, Gigio, and Bashiru are all out, apparently, with Romagnoli also looking like he might be out. So it's difficult for Lazio, because the one thing with Sarri, you know, his Sarri ball, for want of a better word, in that 4-3-3 is, you know, there's a lot of pressing. It's not Bielsa-like as much anymore, but it still does entail puts a huge demand on the players.
Yeah.
And Lazio are financially, unfortunately, in a situation where they haven't got very deep pockets. And we said this even from back in the day when they had the likes of Alberto, Milinkovic, Savic, and Immobile. You take any one or two or three players out of that squad of any note, and they look very weak. They don't have the same, they're not blessed with the same depth as Inter have, for instance. So I think with Sarri and the approach is that he will have to put his best foot forward, and the best team he can muster together with that. And I would think that containment probably will be the best thing for Kiva in the early stages, because Sarri will probably want to try and hit into early. They've been really weak as well on set pieces, Lazio as well. So I think that could certainly suit into with the likes of Hakan doing what he's doing at the moment.
It's
so
true.
I think he is approaching the game in a calm manner.
I don't know. There's a statistic that might tell a different story, because Inter are top scorers, let's say in the Serie A, they got 24 goals. Whereas Lazio, on the other hand, have got the highest number of clean sheets. So they got 6. In the top 5 European leagues, only Arsenal has collected more clean sheets, that's 7. So who's more defensive? Probably Lazio.
Well, I think Lazio are more defensive 100%, but I think that obviously, with Sarri and his approach, I think that especially due to the injuries, he's going to be forced into a situation.
True.
I mean, look, I'm not a coach, and so I'm sure that Kiva will probably come out all guns blazing and make me look stupid. But I just think that with Inter and I think they can wear them down because of the injuries as well.
Yeah.
If it is a tight game, I mean, look, for your point, I totally agree. If Inter can get a goal early, then it should be full throttle. So I'm fairly confident with the game. But as you've mentioned before, and we've talked about, Lazio can be so unpredictable. So as we found out last season. So yeah, I think it'll be an exciting game either way.
It will for sure. And this time around, you can text if you want to when you watch the game. Hopefully you text, wow, that was amazing, and not like other things that I should not mention on
That
this
makes it sound
occasion.
wrong. That makes it sound really bad.
Unless are you moaning about, like a typical fan would do. So there's Richard, there's obviously subjective, and he studies and he brings all the facts, and also there's Richard being a bit of a football fan as you are, and
you told me I was too optimistic, and if we get to 70 minutes and I'm like, we've got this game won, you're like, no, you can't say that.
No, you can't say, because we're very superstitious. You can't. It's not over until it's over, and I haven't said that, or not.
Very true, very true.
Right, so thank you, Richard, for being with us today again, and have a good game. And I'm surely going to have a good game and enjoy the game. I don't know if I'm going to go to the stadium or at home. I haven't decided yet. I haven't. Have you planned it already? Where do you watch it?
This one will actually. Well, I'm traveling to Greece, so it'll be in a hotel. This one. Just before I get.
Sorry, it's a bit. Go to a pub.
Yeah, man, maybe. Yeah, it's boring, isn't it? On my own watching it.
No, go to a pub for sure. They'll be watching it.
Why not? Why not?
Right, thank you for watching. Bye-bye, Richard, and bye-bye to you all. Thank you. Bye-bye.